Hello everyone and welcome back to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. Today our top story will very much be Roman Reigns, but you know how we do it here on Spoiler Warning. There's always more than one thing to talk about. We have a collection of headlines worth going through. There'll be a lot to talk about when it comes to Roman, what the plans are, rough return schedule, and what they're building to, as well as who's writing a lot of this. But in addition to that, we're going to be talking about Damian Priest championship reign and the reception to that so far, Drew McIntyre's position in King of the Ring. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing at the moment, both on YouTube and on Twitter. Rhea Ripley's return schedule, CM Punk returning to the gym, starting the rehab phase of his recovery, Cody Rhodes bringing in a manager and who he's looking for, a little life update, a little bit on Liv Morgan, and a little bit on some absolute garbage rumours that are making the circuit at the moment about Tony Khan, which are just outright not true. So, as you know, I'm going to dive into all of those, as well as go through as many of your questions as we possibly can. Plenty of people already here saying hi. We have 40 people in the chat so far, 16 likes. Let's get those thumbs ups going. I want to say hello to everyone who's joining us. Dylan, Pillar to Post, Marcel, David, Juan, Brad, Bailey. Welcome everyone. On the Twitch side, we also have Bailey, Sean, Spider Boss, Perish, 2 Super. Welcome everyone to the show. We're going to be going into a lot of detail for all of that, but we do need to start, as always, with good old-fashioned Roman Reigns. Our top story for today is the return and the comeback for Roman Reigns. So let's talk about that. The next year of Roman Reigns planning and storytelling will be based on something you've never seen before. That's right, the Bloodline and the Tribal Chief, something you've never seen from Roman Reigns, but this is what he wants to do. Roman Reigns wanted a storyline built sort of around him that he could then use to elevate others. We've now done the around him. He's elevated some people. Look at Jey Uso, look at Sami Zayn. He now wants to bring more people under that tree. The WrestleMania 40 main event, post The Rock and everything that needed to change there, reverted to the original Vince McMahon plan for the Bloodline, that being Cody versus Roman 2. But from here on out, and from the moment that WrestleMania main event finished, most of which was The Rock's doing, Vince McMahon has had no input whatsoever on any of that storytelling. In fact, it's not just Vince McMahon who hasn't been involved. Triple H's input on the Bloodline and Roman Reigns storylines, is said to be minimal. With him trusting the stars at his disposal and Paul Heyman to shepherd them, the key factor there being Paul Heyman. Roman has been consulted on everything involving the Bloodline, including what is happening right now, because he's not personally involved in it. He is still consulted because the Bloodline and Tribal Chiefdom is his baby. To the point that it could potentially be argued that Roman has creative control. He doesn't, but it can be argued. He has an element of veto. Not to the level of a Hulk Hogan, but an element of veto nonetheless. Big thank you, Michael, for your 39th month of subscription on Twitch. You remain the yardstick. Thank you very kindly for continuing to support. For now, the reason Roman Reigns is missing, as we reported before WrestleMania would happen, was that the WWE have agreed to let Roman take alternative bookings for a while, during which negotiations will begin on a new contract for the Tribal Chief. He's not in any way about to finish, but there is a lot to talk about and a lot to get started with. The limited dates of his current contract will remain, but there are suggestions that this next one might be Roman Reigns' last contract. His intention, apparently, is to spend his remaining time giving back. As he spent close to 4 years at the very top, he's accrued some favours, and he knows that he will never get a storyline or a championship reign anywhere close to what he's just had ever again. He doesn't want to repeat himself. Solo Sikoa's variant of the Bloodline is the next step in a civil war that started with Jey Uso turning on Roman many moons ago. To be clear, Sami Zayn turning on Roman was not the beginning of anything Bloodline related, he just left. While Roman and the Usos versus Solo Sikoa and the GOD, or Guerrillas of Destiny, has naturally been mentioned, the endgame plan is not for an all-out everybody involved civil war like Captain America Civil War. It's believed to be Roman Reigns losing his tribal chiefdom in the already established tribal combat to Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman is believed to have made this original pitch more than a year ago, and this is why Solo was the one who stopped Cody Rhodes winning at WrestleMania 39. Roman is said to have fully embraced this plan, hence a few ad-libbed reactions he's had to Solo, and in fact outright stating that Solo is the next tribal chief on one occasion. The Rock is not believed to have known about this when he mentioned Solo's wonderful singing voice. Roman's return will be as a babyface, eager to regain control of the bloodline, not for nefarious means, but as a means of providing for the family in a way that Solo will be failing to accomplish. This gives Sikoa the time he needs to establish himself, to improve on the mic, and to build a rapport with the audience as a solo act. He is meant to intentionally look like a rip-off Roman Reigns, hence some of the attire changes they've made recently. When people start chanting "rip off Roman," WWE will know that they're going to get everything that they want out of this. Jey Uso has been kept separate for a reason, as is Jimmy, though he's of course injured. Jacob Fatu is also needing time to acclimatise to the WWE style. This is not a story that happens overnight, and WrestleMania between Roman and Solo has been mentioned. I can't say that's where Solo will pick up the win, especially with Roman likely being kept strong for The Rock eventually, but we know where they're going, and personally, I'm very excited about it. If you don't want to know Roman's return schedule, look away now. Just click mute the volume for about the next 30 seconds. Roman's return schedule is ever evolving. SummerSlam was a very rough, maybe, penciled in and mistakenly reported elsewhere before other bookings came Roman's way that he chose to take instead. I am told, however, that Roman will be featured at both Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble, with War Games are currently being held for the Bloodline. We will recap that later in the show. That is what's going on with Roman. I'll catch up with the chat now before we get to our next piece of news. But please do remember, we have 78 people watching, 28 likes so far. Let me know your reactions to that news. Hit that like button as we do this, and let's keep the ball rolling. Right. We start with Sean, who says, do you remember back in 2017 when there was a Money in the Bank match on SmackDown? Carmella revealed on the Bella's podcast the original plan for that match was for Becky to win. Plans changed after Carmella opened the SmackDown after Money in the Bank and cut a promo Vince liked it and changed the plans to Carmella winning. Vince McMahon was never really a Becky Lynch fan. He only really pushed her when she became undeniable. Spider-Boss says Liv Morgan is like the Netherlands of wrestling, runner-up in every big competition she's on. And yeah, because of this, everyone's really supporting her. Kind of working. Brad says, okay, everyone, let's go with those likes and keep the chat as lively as possible. If you can, please do remember to do so. Yes, the chat rate really does help the show boost as well. From Pillar to Post, I don't really have that one, unfortunately. Ed says, hey everyone. Hey Ed. And Nelson says, do you think Natalya resigns? Yes, I do. DM says, hi Tom. Hello, DM. Welcome, Mancunian Way. Definitely a time to celebrate for you. Thank you for renewing your membership for a 4th month. 2 Super says, will Logan Paul put his title on the line? Eventually, yes. Likely to LA Knight. He's not beating Cody. Chet says, hey Tom. Hey Chet. Bill at the Post says, Samoan Civil War Games. The day is indeed afoot. King Ella says, I would have Roman do what Seth did when he returned in 2016. Have him heel on the crowd. People really hated that at the time. Michael says, hi Tom. Hello Michael, how you doing? Jacopedia says, what's up folks? Got attacked by someone on YouTube earlier because they were attacking a show I liked, and when I called them on it they resorted to bullying. Pretty standard on social media, unfortunately. Rosal says, Bloodline 2.0 has not been good so far, but they're my least favourite part of SmackDown. To be fair, Bloodline 2.0 was Sami Zayn. Ken says, hey Tom, how are you? Doing well, thank you Ken, welcome to the show. Dan834, who's apparently quite big, has followed on the Twitch side. Welcome to the show, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. DM says, according to the latest betting odds, Roman versus Seth has a strong chance of happening at WrestleMania 41. That certainly could be an option. Leon says, hi Tom, hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you Leon. Pardon me, there'll be a few life updates to come that you might enjoy. Spiderboss says, as much as people on social media liked Cody and Logan Paul's segment, it was awful. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. 2 Super says, once Tamatonga wins King of the Ring, will it be King versus Tribal Chief? No, Solo versus Roman is what we're heading towards. Bailey says, at 39, does Roman Reigns intend to pursue acting outside the WWE umbrella? He intends to pursue acting now. He's actively doing it as we speak. When I talk about external bookings, that's what I mean. Sean says, do you think Roman gets exiled from the Bloodline? Not yet, but I do think he loses the tribal chiefdom and has to go on his way. Isaac says, hey Tom, how's it going? Did you see they released Nightbird merch on WWE Shop? Could that be a sign the Y6 debuts are as soon as this week? Well, I'm not able to say they're as soon as this week. I've reported everything I know. What I will say is that the day is coming sooner rather than later. DM says WWE screwed up big time with Samoa Joe in 2018. Badly wanted him to win the Money in the Bank and cash in on AJ to kickstart their feud, because Strowman winning the briefcase was pointless and did nobody any favours. You're not wrong about Strowman, I'll say that. Two Super says, where does the final boss play into this? Rock versus Cody seems more likely at this point. Spider-Boss says, Solo Sikoa isn't so established to making the new tribal chief of the Bloodline. Solo's won only 2 matches on pay-per-view since his debut at 2022 Clash at the Castle. Yes, but he's not becoming tribal chief tomorrow. Two Super says, day 1? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Chris says Bayley will hit 1,000 days as combined as a champion this Thursday. She is very deserving of it. Bayley says thanks for the exclusive on Roman's schedule, which means Dave Meltzer will probably post a story on it next week. Stranger things have indeed happened. Dylan says, is Roman Rock ever happening? Yes, I did mention that in what I reported about Roman earlier. Spider-Boss says I'd rather prefer Roman returning at SummerSlam 2024 than wait until Survivor Series. Ishii says, do you see The Fiend returning and who being it? The Fiend cannot return because I'm not having them recast it. There may be some incarnation of The Fiend, but it will not be The Fiend that we knew. Khalid says, hey Tom, very excited for Roman Reigns' face turn. Also, do you see Rhea Ripley returning in August? More on that later. Sid says, 2K24 person spent $400 in my faction mode to unlock the new Rock. Why? Martin says, good evening Tom and all, hope all good and in chat. Welcome Martin, lovely to see you mate. One says, Conan must have some hate bandana towards AEW to be honest. Interesting. Ross says, evening everyone, good start to the show. Glad to hear you enjoyed it, Ross. John says, if Becky re-signs, do you see her retaining over Liv? If this happens, will this happen? I don't answer those questions. David Leary says, last night in the Marigold show, the announcers mentioned, will Julie show up at NXT like it was a mystery? Because to them it is a mystery, let's be fair, not everyone follows PWInsider. Robin Dave says, how does WWE feel about the We Want Roman chants? Ecstatic. Jackopedia says, yep, agree Tom about social media. You do a great job and thank you for the great content. Everyone like, subscribe and share out the stream. Thank you, Jackopedia, I appreciate that. We are doing very good things at the moment, particularly with YouTube and Twitter. We will talk about those a little later, and I'm very much enjoying what we're doing at the moment. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it as well. Sean says, I see Lyra beating Liv, and I hope King of the Ring finals isn't Jey versus Tama. I hope Jey versus Randy. Dan says, cheers from New York. I love the timing for Roman's return. Gives them substantial time to build this new Bloodline group up. Yes, it does. And I do think getting out of Roman's shadow has been the best thing to happen to Solo so far. Backward says Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa at Mania 41 makes sense. Then hopefully do Rock Roman at Mania 42. Pillar to Post says when Solo finally turns on Heyman, the Walrus better bleed. Wow. Brutal. Robin Dave says, does that mean we won't be getting Roman before SummerSlam? As I say, I've reported what I've reported. Please do not comment too much on that, because I did say if people don't want that news, they can put themselves on mute for a moment. King Arthur says, I think Roman comes back as a heel and have him turn babyfaced. He can't just show up and be one. He absolutely can. That is exactly what happened with Seth Rollins. Devil says, hey Tom, where will Jimmy Uso come in all this when he returns? They don't know when he's going to return. There are no plans. JJ says, hey Tom, do you have any Becky news? Not at this point in time. Counterfeit says, do you think Becky will be losing Saturday? I've already reported everything I have on Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Pillar to Post says, more on that later. Counter 1. Yep, that does happen unfortunately. Keenan says, hey Tom, hope you're well. When will the Wyatt 6 debut? Keenan, I'd like you to check out Friday's spoiler warning when our top story was everything I know about the Wyatt 6. By all means, come back to this show, though, for more Roman news. Okay, sure. DM says, to be honest, I'm not that much hyped for Uncle Howdy debut, because only Bray can pull up that magic. So far, I say Bo has been doing a very good job. Yes, I do agree that only Bray Wyatt can be Bray Wyatt, but I do think Bo Dallas has done a very good job so far. We've just hit 40 likes, only 10 more to get to 50. I know it's a pretty big target, but there are 88 of you here, which means that at least 48 of you haven't hit that thumbs up yet. If just 10 do, we get up to 50. We'll be skyrocketing up to 100 viewers, which is always my sweet spot. Please remember to hit that thumbs up as we go to our next piece of news. Much briefer piece of news this time than what I said there about Roman. WWE officials are very impressed with Damian Priest's recent outings, particularly standing solo in the ring with his opponent and cutting promos. His work with Jey Uso was very well received. His promo with Drew McIntyre was also extremely well received. The WWE don't necessarily want to break up Judgment Day just yet. Bear with me 1 second. But part of Finn Balor's contract negotiations did involve planning for a breakup of Judgment Day. That is incoming, but WWE now believe that Damian Priest is more than ready to stand on his own. Creative is said to consider him a credible option for future World Championships after he loses the current one, likely, as we know, to Drew McIntyre. Martin says, can't wait for the new faction from Bo, even though I do have mixed emotions around it for obvious reasons. Same. Dylan says, I'm probably wrong, but given that Gunther's visa is still having problems until June, could it be possible that's one of the reasons he loses tonight against Jey? It's not impossible if that's happening, no. Sean says, has Heyman ever got colour? Watching him since buying ECW bootlegs, never remember him bleeding. I'm sure he has. I can't remember it. But if you've been watching ECW bootlegs, you'd know more than me. Ryan said, could you see WWE doing a pay-per-view in Australia in the next few years? Absolutely I could. Australia just needs to pay them. Same as everywhere. Danny says, hello Tom, hope you're well. Will we not be seeing many title changes until round about SummerSlam time now? Triple H does not like to regularly change championships, so no, it's unlikely we'll see many. Chris says, Cora Jade did have a promo at a live event. She called out Roxanne Perez and said she'll be back in a few months. Yes, she's following in the CM Punk playbook, and she did a good job. Rizal says, if Gunther loses to Jey tonight, it's going to get nasty on the timeline. As I replied on Twitter to someone, some dumpster fires are worth watching, and that timeline implosion will be worth it. Martin says, I've missed the first 15 nearly, so we'll zip back. If I have any questions and I'm behind, my apologies in advance. No worries, Martin. Ask your questions. You know how this go. Coda says, I just got in here. Can you give a quick answer to the Roman return plans? Coda, these streams have the ability to rewind. So if you just want to zip back right to the beginning of the stream, about 30 seconds in, I start talking Roman, and I don't stop for about 7 minutes. So just zip back, and then you can catch up. That's the beauty of it. We'll do a recap at about 30 minutes in, but if I do that for a lot of people coming in asking for a refresher, I'll only ever report one piece of news. So I've set the stream so you can rewind and just catch up. Spider-Boss says, Cody did backstage politics to get back his WrestleMania main event match. No, he didn't. He absolutely did not do that. Triple H did. But he can do backstage politics. He's in charge. Zane says, what does the winner of the King and Queen of the Ring tournament get? We don't know. That is going to play into the winners, especially on the men's side tonight. Says who? Who's saying that? Spider-Boss says, do you think it's fair that fans compare Becky with Hogan just because Becky hasn't lost to Liv Morgan? I don't think it's fair that anyone gets compared to Hogan. Hogan is a dick. Backwards says, when do you see Jacob Fatu finally debuting? I feel like he's going to be a face when he debuts. My suspicion is that he's going to take him a little while to acclimatise. The WWE don't have the story ready for him, so much like Tama Tonga, it'd be a while. Sean says, do you see Bianca defeating Nia to make the finals of Queen of the Ring? I think we'll get our answer tonight. If Io Sky picks up the win, she's going to need a face to fight against Bianca Belair. If Lyra Valkyria picks up the win, she's going to need heel to face, hence Nia Jax. Ishii says, do you think Uncle Howdy and the faction will succeed? Yes, I think they've done a great job so far. I genuinely do. And I'm very excited for them to hit the deck and really get started. I'm very hyped for it personally. I am planning to do a Twitter thread soon detailing everything we know so far about the Wyatt 6 plans. I just think that's going to be a fun one to go for. Bill at the Post says, Bo and Rob Fee have been amazing, but I was hoping for more interactive QR codes like games and all. They are going for a bit more cerebral this time round, and that is mostly the Bo influence. Wrestling Fiend says, why are people hating on this Uncle Howdy so much? I don't know who you're referring to there, Wrestling Fiends, because in this chat, we're pretty happy about it. Spiderball says, Jey Uso got an unnecessary amount of hatred last week after he defeated Dragunov. Yup. Counterfeit says, do you see a PLE being in September, or will they skip it and go to October? I see it likely, yes. Sean says, TKO President Mark Shapiro said WWE is interested in renewing the Saudi deal, and indeed they are, for more money. Pillar to Post, what's in the cup? Orange and pineapple juice. I ain't fancy. Dan says, with the success of international PLEs and Saudi's relentless push and deepest of pockets, Can you see WWE giving them one of their desired Royal Rumble or WrestleMania PLEs? Yes, because as you point out, deepest of pockets. However, WWE have been clever about this before. Saudi Arabia have asked for the Royal Rumble previously. They originally asked for WrestleMania and were told you can't have that. So they said, we'll settle for Royal Rumble. So they said, okay, we'll give you a Royal Rumble. In fact, we'll give you the greatest of Royal Rumbles. So they did. King Azza says, Tom, at SummerSlam next year, I think they should have Cody versus Seth for the championship. Have Seth beat Cody. Good end to Cody's title reign. DM says, Sammy saying that his chance of winning the World Heavyweight under Vince were higher than Triple H shocked me. Triple H likes longer championship reigns. Triple H liked hot potato. That's the reason. Keenan says, will Bo still be Uncle Howdy? Not sure at this point. I don't have those details. I, of course, was the first one to report that he was Uncle Howdy to begin with. So as soon as I have something from those same sources, I'll let you know. Backward says, I really hope we get Gunter versus Randy Orton. They're teasing me right now. We have just hit 100 viewers, 47 likes, 3 more gets us to 50. Let's get that ball rolling. Our next piece of news is about Drew McIntyre. Again, a relatively small piece of news. The big news today is all Roman. Drew McIntyre may have been announced for the King of the Ring, but he was never booked to compete in it, and he was told quite simply that he would not be involved in it in any way. He was always going to lose his place to Jey Uso. The WWE just didn't want to announce ahead of time that Jey Uso would be there because that sort of gave the game away that he wasn't beating Damian Priest. Simple fact is, Drew McIntyre's character right now is intentionally getting screwed a hell of a lot. Everybody wants to screw Drew McIntyre. Hashtag screw Drew McIntyre. Hashtag everyone wants to screw Drew McIntyre, etc, etc. I'm not saying I want to screw Drew McIntyre, but he's a very handsome man. Anyway, what I'm saying is, the storyline for Drew is that he's intentionally getting screwed by everyone, all and sundry involved. It's not just CM Punk, it's management as well. He was only put into the King of the Ring so that he could be screwed by Adam Pearce. Always a fun one, always a fun one. One says, hey Tom, since Mercedes Money is going heel, which she does better in terms of drawing, makes me wonder why AEW never turned Punk heel, because he said no. Sean says a heel calling out a heel is strange. Honestly, I see Julia dethroning Roxanne, and indeed she will. Cora Jade, I suspect, will not be going for the championship when she returns. Ishii says, is Bo going to still be Uncle Howdy? Oh, I've already answered that one. Two Super says the winners of the tournament always get a crown and a heel turn. It's just the way it is. DM says, was Baron Corbin set for a world title win in 2017 before the failed Money in the Bank cash-in? Before? No. From Pillar to Post says it used to be the winner of King of the Ring got a title shot at SummerSlam. Yep. That is long gone. Danny says, looking forward to the Jade versus Nia feud coming. Indeed. P says, come on Tom, we all know Hogan isn't a dick. He's much worse than that. Not untrue. Two Super says, Lyra Valkyria never seemed like a star to me. I wonder why they like her so much, because they disagree with you. CM Punk said, couldn't agree with you anymore about Hogan. He is what you called him. Everyone has their opinion on Hogan. It's all bad. Robin Dave says, when Roman finally returns as a babyface, this is the moment where WWE got their wish in Roman being a babyface. Bill at the Post says, Snap Tom drinking that gin and juice. No gin, you know this. Orange and pineapple juice. DM says, Shawn Michaels cancelled Vader's world title win in 1996. Vince McMahon cancelled it, but Shawn Michaels was certainly involved. Spider-Man says, with Cora Jade returning to NXT, possibly Julia will be NXT Women's Champion. I think Cora wasted all the opportunities Shawn Michaels gave her. She didn't. Two Super says, how soon until we see Ilya versus Gunter, or will Ilya join Imperium? I suspect that match is being saved for a big, big show. Hector says, Tom, when WWE and UFC merged, Ari Emanuel was on record saying he wasn't interested in a continued relationship with Saudi. I wonder what changed in the time since to change his mind. He didn't change his mind, he was simply lying. Counterfeit says, I wouldn't mind a PLE being in Africa, like Backlash Africa, or maybe even like a Survivor Series in Africa. Africa needs to pay for the privilege. That's the issue that they're having. Eric says, good evening, Tom. Earlier today, WWE's released a new Kabuki Warriors merch, and it is awesome. Dylan says, do you think the unnecessary hate towards Jey might be a reason he might lose tonight, or would that be a stupid reason? Any unnecessary hate towards Jey Uso is being considered a good thing by the WWE. Jalen says, what percentage chance do you give Liv a King of the Ring? I don't give percentages. Spiderball says, at WrestleMania 40, Drew screwed Drew. Like Damian Priest said, Drew cared more about CM Punk than the World Heavyweight title, and indeed his wife. Keenan says, will Drew be World Champion anytime soon? Yes, he will. Keenan, I believe you're new here. I have reported previously, in fact in March, Drew McIntyre, Clash of the Castle, Damian Priest. Writes itself. Ishii says, what happened to the Cherry Coke? Same reason I don't actually do the SmackDown watch parties anymore, because I can't stay up until 3 a.m. I've got kids. They don't let me. DM says, WWE protected Drew McIntyre from taking a loss in King of the Ring because they don't want him to eat a pin before Backlash. Also, as mentioned, he was never going to be in it. Pillar to Post says, will Wendy Chu be waking up in Vegas? I'm not sure it'll be Vegas per se, but I'd love it if they literally have video of her just asleep on like a casino floor or in like a massive roulette table. Just throwing it out there. Michael says, did Hogan ever ask to lose matches like Becky did? No, not once. Spider-Ball says, Dragunov versus Gunter at Bash in Berlin. That is my pick. Personally, I think he might be taking on Drew there. Brandon says, where do they go from here if they give Gunter King of the Ring? They don't. Same place they would go for anyone. They just call him King and then move on with their life. Bailey says, per ringside news, and I stopped reading. Sid says, the YouTube stream is going perfect. Thank you, Sid. Appreciate that. Please do let me know if you get an ad. Most people here should be getting one in about 4 minutes. So once you reach about 30 minutes of being here, you'll get another ad. And that's when I'll start the recap of the Roman news quickly, because, you know, if you've been here for 30 minutes, you've already seen that news, so it's not really interrupting when you get the ad. What I'm saying. Counterfeit says, Tom, I don't know why. I have a feeling this current reign of Bayley will not be as long as a SmackDown Women's reign. A SmackDown Women's reign was quite long. King Adam says, Tom Bryangovitz said Cody was not supposed to react like that when he gave up his spot to The Rock. Yeah, that was a real moment. I don't blame Cody for it. I don't blame him at all. I simply don't. Little bit of an update as regards what we're doing with our social media at the moment and just how well it's going. I have some news and a little bit of tea. So, on YouTube, I owe a big thanks to some people, but you'll remember that we were about 50 subscribers on Friday away from hitting 6,000. Now we're about 50 subscribers over 6,000. In the last few days, we've had about 100 new subscribers, and there are plenty of new names in the chat right now. Welcome to all of you. You are very welcome to be here, and hopefully, if anyone who's a regular here has spotted any new person, say hi now. Take the opportunity to give them a welcome. I'd very much appreciate it. We hit 6,000 on YouTube. Not only that, but the people who did hit subscribe have been checking out the work and leaving comments and engaging, and I've really enjoyed meeting so many new people. In addition, we hit 9,000 on Twitter recently and then some, and we've got a whole load more people who jump in, chat, get involved, and just have fun with it. And it's great fun. Great fun. I'm going to re-advertise the Discord server on the YouTube shortly as well, on the chat shortly as well, to anyone who hasn't joined there as well, just in case you want to jump in and dive in. Views-wise, things have been okay, but when it comes to growth, this has been one of the strongest periods we've ever seen. I owe a lot of thanks to Wrestling Days and also C Wrestling, who recently reached out to me. I very much appreciate their support and the example they set when it comes to this YouTube world. People are starting to pay attention to what we're doing here. They're seeing how often we'll report something here and then it pops up on a paywall 2 weeks later. A large part of that is how often you guys will say something in the chat. So someone who's only here for one show or something will see that this happens quite often. They're recognizing how often I'm able to drip feed a whole WWE storyline. For example, the entirety of everything with Damage Control leading into WrestleMania since the WrestleMania the year before. Even people who a long time ago told me that they would never work with me again because some guy said not to, are suddenly popping up in my Twitter notifications. Hi True Heel Heat, how you doing? Haven't been on your show in a very long time, have I? Nice to see you hitting that like button. Thought I'd take the opportunity to say how well things are going and just sort of enjoy life a little bit because, yeah, life's good. Plenty more news incoming. Sean says, according to Fightful, Mark Henry's contract with AEW is set to expire this month. It is, and to my knowledge, AEW not that interested in renewing it. We'll see how it goes. Razar says, what about Bobby Lashley? Was he never going to be in King of the Ring, or did he really get injured? He really did get injured, but it wasn't particularly serious. Michael asking about Mark Henry, does he do a lot there? Not really. Keenan says, thanks Tom for always updating us with wrestling news. I appreciate your work and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Keenan. That's a very nice thing to say, and I appreciate you too. Dylan says, when do you see Gunter winning a heavyweight belt? I see it around WrestleMania. I do think Bash at Berlin is not an impossibility. So I'm going to do a recap now because I can see people getting the ad coming through. So I'm going to do a quick recap of the Roman Reigns news. If anyone wants it in full, just pop back right to the beginning of the show and it's all there. Thank you very much, Osiris, for subscribing on the YouTube side. You may well enjoy what we do here. I very much hope that you do. Roman Reigns' next year will still be focused on Bloodline after he does return from his break. The WrestleMania 40 main event, post the involvement of The Rock, did revert to Vince McMahon's original plan of Cody versus The Rock 2, but from here on out, Vince McMahon has had zero input. Triple H's input is also said to be minimal, with him trusting the stars at his disposal and Paul Heyman to shepherd them. Roman has been consulted on everything, to the point that it can be argued he has creative control. He doesn't, but it can be argued. WWE have agreed to let Roman take alternative bookings for a while, during which negotiations will begin on a new contract for the Tribal Chief. The limited dates will remain, but there are suggestions this might be Roman's last contract. His intention is to spend his remaining time giving back, as he spent close to 4 years at the very top and has accrued some favours. Solo Sikoa's variant of the Bloodline is the next step in the Civil War, and while Roman and the Usos vs Solo and God has naturally been mentioned, the endgame plan is believed to be Roman Reigns losing the tribal chiefdom to Solo Sikoa. Heyman is believed to have made this pitch more than a year ago, and this is why Solo was the one who stopped Cody Rhodes, winning at WrestleMania 39. Roman has fully embraced this, hence a few ad-libbed reactions to Solo, and outright stating that Solo is the next tribal chief on one occasion. Roman's return will be as a babyface, eager to regain control of the bloodline not for nefarious means, but as a means to provide for the family in a way that Solo will not be doing. This gives Sikoa the time he needs to establish himself, to improve on the mic and to build a rapport with the audience as a solo act. He is meant to look like a rip-off Roman Reigns. When people start chanting that, WWE will know that they're going to get everything they want out of this storyline. Jey Uso is being kept separate for a reason. Jacob Fatu is also needing time to acclimatise to the WWE style. This is not a story that happens overnight, and WrestleMania between Roman and Solo has been mentioned. I can't say that that's where Solo will pick up the win, especially with Roman likely being kept strong for The Rock eventually, but we know where they're going, and personally I'm very excited for it. Next bit is about Roman's return schedule. If you want that, pop back, because I do know a lot of people aren't particularly interested in that and do want to make sure that I don't put anyone off by over-reporting. We're now on 59 likes. One more gets us to 60. One of you, I'm sure, can be my one. Anthony says, Tom, do you think Roman returns purely as a babyface or as a tweener? I believe I just answered that. Bailey says, welcome to the new subscribers. Chris says, welcome as well. Super says, congratulations on the 6K. DM says, I like the Randy 2018 heel run. He was sick and his actions inside Hell in a Cell against Jeff were criminal. Yeah, I still haven't seen that for a reason. Sean says, hi new people, welcome to a great community. Dylan says, welcome. Sid says hi to all the new people in the chat. Big Dan also says, congratulations, who's now come over on the YouTube side as well. Backward says, you for sure going to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year? I'm definitely not. Keep up the great work. Hard work always pays off. Thank you, Backwards. I appreciate you for that. Spiderboss says, Becky in 2018 called out Charlotte for being WWE's chosen one. Now Becky became all she didn't like about Charlotte. Quoting Batman, you die as a hero or live long enough to become the villain. Spiderboss says, hello, new fellas. Welcome to the community. Philly says, big love to Wrestling Days and see wrestling. Also, yes, very much so. Ross says, welcome to the team, new subscribers. Very informative chat, very informative shows and a respectful chat. Thank you, Ross. That's a brilliant advert for what we do here. Counterfeit says, Tom, Backlash France to me was definitely one of the best backlashes, but the crowd was so behind Bayley, Tiffany, Naomi, and Jade and Bianca, and the entrance Jay had was wild. The right people got cheered. A to the K Wrestling Show says, do you know the plans for Clash? I know some of them. Brandon says, seeing as Jay is one of the hottest babyfaces in the company and he's not winning a title anytime soon, why not give him King of the Ring? Wazar says, Tom, you've been my number one source for wrestling news, especially when it comes to Mercedes. I've been doing pretty well on that. I'm happy overall. DM says, named the biggest... I don't really talk about dream matches. You know this because you've asked about it a few times. Wiggly says, what up, Tom? Hope you're well. Doing very well. Thank you, Wiggly. Welcome to the show. Spider-Ball says, being babyface hasn't done anything for Lashley and the Street Profits. I think a heel turn would have helped them. They were trying to make that happen. Eric just got an ad. Thank you, Eric, for letting me know. Counterfeit says, do you think the German crowd at Bash at Berlin will top the French crowd? I think it'll be basically the same. Thank you, Khalid, mentioning an ad as well. Sean also got an ad. Khalid says, I appreciate you, Tommy. Give us great news. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Wikipedia, so it is every 30 minutes. So the system is working. 30 seconds every 30 minutes doesn't seem bad to me. DM says, Paul Heyman is held hostage for the new Bloodline. I feel bad for him. And Dylan says, given that Tama Tonga is on the SmackDown side and Jay's on the Raw side, I could see them doing a Bloodline finale at King of the Ring. This might not be happening, but all points seem to lead there. Weekly, WWE is not focused on Tyson Fury. That's not a thing. Bailey says, much as Roman, do you think Charlotte returning from injury is a face? Yeah, she already was a face. 8 of the cases, Drew winning a clutch, or is he getting screwed again? Hashtag screw Drew. Shane says, hi Tom, who have you got to win King and Queen of the Ring? At this point, Lyra Valkyria and Tama Tonga. Counterfeit says, you're now almost at 70 likes, Tom. 3 more. 67 likes now after I mentioned that. 3 more gets us to 70. We are flying. Thank you, Danny, for letting me know as well. One says, hey Tom, Dave Meltzer doesn't believe AEW will ever recover in the ratings, which will lead to no TV deal according to him. As I've mentioned, I am expecting a TV deal to be announced for AEW shortly. It won't be a great TV deal, but it'll be a TV deal. Right. More news. Firstly, Rhea Ripley's return to the WWE is still penciled in for around SummerSlam time. A lot of what happens with Rhea Ripley basically decides what happens with Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. The WWE currently having her penciled in for a return at SummerSlam, which suggests to me that Becky Lynch will retain and then go on to work later with Liv Morgan and with Rhea Ripley. I went through the options in a previous show, but there's the option of a triple threat, which would in many ways protect Rhea from having to work too hard on this one, but also Rhea beats Becky Lynch immediately, regains the championship, and then goes on to feud long-term with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan was only supposed to have 1 or 2 matches with Rhea Ripley and then move on, so this is doing her a lot of favours. Sid says former WXW champion Bad Bones John Klinger has passed away at the age of 40. R.I.P. R.I.P. indeed. CM Punk return as well. CM Punk returned to the gym recently and is working on the rehab portion of his injury. WWE are confident that he'll be back soon, but aren't willing to finalise any bookings after recent injury mistakes. As such, the Drew McIntyre vs CM Punk match at SummerSlam is not confirmed yet, but I've been talking about it for a long time, and suddenly I'm seeing it all over that timeline on the good old-fashioned Twitter machine. DM says Daniel Bryan pushed heavily for the Kofi Mania rise. Big respect for DB, because he wanted Kofi to get his well-deserved world title win. He did indeed. Michael says if AEW still being a top 5 most watched show on Wednesday nights, that just means less people are watching cable TV as a whole, which is accurate, and has been accurate for a very long time now. Funnily enough, this exact discourse about WWE never recovering in the ratings was happening before AEW debuted. WWE is still struggling when it comes to USA Network. I think, unfortunately, everyone who is angry and publicly hating WWE thought that AEW was the answer. So they went over to AEW. And because they are basically loud and hate-filled people, now they're loud and hate-filled about AEW. That's how I see it. 2 Super says every time CM Punk wrestler gets hurt, that's how he ended up in AEW. Hopefully he's not going to end in WWE that way. Fingers crossed not. That's not a good thing for anyone. Dylan says, when do you most likely see Rock Cody happening? Because I really want it to be at SummerSlam and not WrestleMania 41. To my knowledge, The Rock is not available at this year's SummerSlam. We currently have the sex number for likes, 69, which is nice. 1 more to 70 though. 1 more. Let's keep this ball rolling, because it's not often we hear 70 at all, let alone 70 by only 40 minutes in, and with some news still to come. So if we can keep that ball rolling, I'll be a very happy boy. Very happy indeed. Spiderball says, Rhea and Becky want to give Liv her big moment, but Liv isn't winning the title anytime soon. I really don't understand why WWE waits so much to give Liv her big moment, primarily because they just want to focus on other champions at the time. Jalen says, terrible news, Liv should be champ when Rhea gets back. If Rhea gets back at SummerSlam, Certainly, I think a rematch between Liv and Becky at SummerSlam, where Liv wins the championship, could be very effective. Wiggly says ratings just aren't a thing anymore with so much on-demand content. Sean says, do you think NXT will do well on the CW network? I think it'll do okay. I'll go that far. Khalid says, thank you for the news, Tom. I can't wait to see Rhea Ripley return around SummerSlam. Can't wait to see Rhea win the championship again. Thank you, Tom. You're welcome, Khalid. Selvig says, hello, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Is there any plans for Tegan Nox, Katana Chance and Caden Carter? Not really. They're sort of in the background and Triple H is fielding pitches for them. At the moment, nothing has stuck and nothing is really being very convincing. It seems increasingly likely that they'll just be doing women's tag team matches that'll last about 3 minutes. Awkward. Cody Rhodes is interested in bringing in a manager, as he mentioned during Busted Open Radio today. I reached out for details, and apparently, I'm being told, that he wants to bring Brandy Rhodes in as his manager and to have a quote-unquote family faction gimmick similar to his early work in AEW. I can confirm Brandy Rhodes is not currently under WWE contract, and there is no contract believed to be being offered at this point in time. Cody Rhodes is talking about this backstage, but from what I can tell, nothing has got to the desk of Triple H yet. One says, basically AEW had hate watchers rather than a dedicated fan base. No. I see what you're doing there and it's not accurate. I didn't say everyone who watches AEW does this. I didn't say that. I said WWE had hate watchers. They weren't all hate watchers, but they had some hate watchers. Those same hate watchers thought, okay, well I hate this, so I'll try this new thing. But because they're hate-filled people, they also hate the new thing. I'm not saying that it's everyone, because it's not everyone. A lot of people still very much love AEW. There's plenty of them in the chat as well. Spider-Boss says the storyline is Rhea versus Liv. Becky seems a supporting character in the Rhea versus Liv rivalry. She is. Callie says, hi Tom, hope you're well. Welcome, Callie. Danny says, Tiffany will become SmackDown Women's Champion before Liv wins the Raw one. I have a feeling Tiffany could win Women's Money in the Bank. Wouldn't be a bad shout. Counterfeit says, when Rhea regains the title back, who will she lose it back to again? If and when this happens, what will happen? I don't answer those questions, you know it. Two Super says, not gonna lie, Brandy Rhodes is Cody's best manager as long as she doesn't talk. Oh, that's mean. What's the point of her manager then? Rosal says there are not any title plans for Io Sky or Damage Control. At this point in time, the plan is for them to compete with Becky Lynch, but it's not necessarily for the championship, because the plan was put together to have them wrestle before Becky Lynch won the championship. DM says I don't see any big option for Cody at SummerSlam other than Randy. The one-off big for PLE needs a mega main event, and Cody versus Randy is it. Could well be. Would you believe it? Jalen says if Liv wins the same day Rhea gets back, then that's awful as well. Liv getting a 1 month reign just to drop back to Rhea is awful. Give Liv the belt Saturday and have her get a heel run before Rhea returns. What says that Rhea's going to win immediately? Two Super says AEW is great, they just don't have the storytelling masterminds that WWE have. Trickopedia says welcome to the chat to all the new viewers. Lady May says hey, once as I say, Arn Anderson could be Cody's manager. The WWE aren't necessarily going to want to add more people for this point, which does make it a little bit awkward, but we are where we are. So, guys, Discord. For those who don't remember, I do have a Discord server, and I'm going to grab the link right now, and I'm going to drop it right here in the chat. If you guys would like to join the Discord server, just click on the link, come on over. There are plenty of people there who enjoy talking wrestling. We do have what's called the good faith agreement, which essentially means if you're going to argue in good faith. We're open to debate, we're open to heated topics, we're not open to being a bitch for no good reason. That's essentially my rules when it comes to the Discord. So please do drop in if you haven't already, check the place out, and see if it might be a good home to talk wrestling. Hopefully you guys quite enjoy it. Spider-Boss says Brandy Rhodes being Cody's manager would be fun. Brandy used to get easily roasted on promos when she was with Cody on AEW. Isn't that the job of the manager? Michael says WWE had a 2.3 million viewership after WrestleMania and is down to about 1.5 million on Raw. That's just shaking out the casuals who only watch every 6 months. Yeah, pretty much. Dylan says Jesse Ventura has talked about returning to WWE. Is that happening? Not necessarily. The contract that I believe they're discussing involves him potentially making a couple of appearances, but mostly it's just so they can sell merch for him. Rick says, hey Tom, buddy. I'll go back and hear what you said about Roman. I missed it all. Thank you for doing that, Ricky. Chris Leclerc says, I love Bailey. Good news. Danny says, I don't do Discord, Tom, so enjoy. Fair enough, Danny. I appreciate that you have let me know that. Jose says, QR codes will be back tonight. This is scary Undertaker vibes. Welcome, Jose. And Sovik says, will there be any reveal or clue of a member of the YS6 tonight? Clue? Yes. Reveal? No. Jalen says, if Becky wins Saturday and then feuds with Becky, what does Liv do for once? Well, if Becky wins and then feuds with Becky, I've got to say, that's very much a Gollum storyline. 74 likes. One more to 75. That's 3/4 of the way to 100. Can we do this? One more to 75, guys. Let's keep this going. Dylan says, I know it's probably not going to happen, but I really want Jey to win a belt before he comes back into this Bloodline storyline. Sean says, do you see Alexa in around the championship when she gets back? No. Nope. I do not. Next piece of news is actually a life update. Just a bit of an update on what's going on with me, your boy Tom. So, life is good. Just over a month from now, I'm expecting to be closing on the new house. And, that shit. At which point I may be required to have a brief break from YouTube, Twitter, and all the extras as I focus on moving things over. I'll keep you informed about that, and I'll try and create as much content as I can in that period. But I may go quiet for a couple of weeks just while I do everything as a transfer. What I will say is that at the moment, I'm about to have a house. I'm buying stuff for a house that I'm about to own. I'm about to live with my partner and the 2 daughters that she essentially gifted me long after having the whole diaper thing. Not even my problem. It were great. They're 2 little people and they're awesome and I fucking love them. And I get to live with them. So Tom's in a great place. In addition to that, Twitter will be a new revenue stream relatively soon. We're getting a lot of hits there recently, which means I'll be gaining a little extra income from that, which means I can afford even more when it comes to repairs on the house and so on and so forth. It's going to be a long bit of work. It's going to be a labour of love. But all I really wanted to say to everyone is that I'm in a very good place right now. I hope you all are too. And also, look what the youngest made me. I love dolphins. Black, white and red, they're my colours. My happy boy. We have a bit more news to come. A little bit of rumour killing and a little bit of why would people report this still coming. Okay. Dylan says, I know it's probably not... I've already read that one. Oh, Jalen's meant feud with Damage Control. Damage Control will not necessarily be going for the championship. Liv Rhea is more where the championship's going to be based. Thank you very much, Sean, for subscribing on the YouTube side. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider doing so. We are doing very good stuff here, and I really do hope you want to check it out more often. If not, I'm definitely doing something wrong, but if you enjoy the content we're doing here, there's a number of different ways you can support. Easiest way, drop a comment in the chat. That boosts the chat rate, boosts the engagement, and means more people find it. Just saying hi and bye hugely helps this channel. You want to do a bit more? Hit like. Hit that thumbs up. Costs absolutely nothing. Haven't subscribed? Click subscribe. All of those are things you could do that cost you absolutely nothing. Nothing. There's additional options you have if you'd like to support more financially. On the Twitch side, you can subscribe. That's an option you can do. That does cost a little bit. I don't set the prices over there, and it does come directly to me, about 50% of it. Over on YouTube, we have channel memberships, which get you access to some exclusive members-only content. Not much in there at the moment. I'm working on building it. There's some quite fun stuff that I quite enjoy. I'm making of what I thought would be a viral short about how to be The Rock. It's terrible. Utterly terrible. I don't know why anybody would watch it. But apparently those who did quite enjoyed it. So you can support financially by becoming a channel member. There is a $1 a month option, there is a $5 a month option, and there's a too expensive for everyone $25 a month option. You get the same content for all of them. It's basically as much as you would like to offer. And you can also essentially make a donation, just basically give a little money to the channel. That at the moment is going towards repairs on the house once I get in there. So just to be transparent, that's what all the income is going towards at the moment. Those are your options to support the channel. If you'd like to do so, you're of course very welcome to. Thank you kindly. Sid says, Marshall Von Erich on potentially signing with a major company. I have a feeling it's coming soon. Source, Fightful Wrestling. Danny says, let's push as close as possible to 100 likes for Tom. Really deserved it and helps the channel big time. We are on 84 right now. We're only 16 away, and we do have more than 16 people here. You can just have a double check if you already hit like. You never know. Let's Chat and Jam says, I'm here to say this is the second time I saw your show. I must be honest, I like it. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's wonderful to hear. Wikipedia says, congrats, Tom. Ricky says, congrats, Tom, buddy. Sean says, congratulations, mate. Wiggly says, I can't tell you what a relief having a roof over one's head is. I was going to say I have one, but then I remember there's a massive hole in the goddamn roof. Sean says, Elon is going to pay you on Twitter. Yes, he is. Juan says, round of applause for Tom. Thank you kindly. Danny says, congratulations, buddy. Delighted for you, pal. In a great place myself. So happy days. T Super says, I'm happy for you, Tom. You're winning at life right now. Keep up the hard work. Thank you kindly. Weasley says, we should all always count our blessings. A to the K says, great news, mate. Congrats. Thank you very much for that. T Super says, Tom, not time yet. Sean says, do you think Alexa is the lost sheep that the phone call was talking about? I think it might well be. I think it's more likely actually there's Nikki Cross, who has in fact gone missing and been spotted wandering in the distance. Dylan says, if Jey beats Gunter tonight, how do you think the IWC will react? Horribly, which will be funny. Daniel says, hey everyone, happy Monday. Happy Monday, Daniel. Roger says, have any wrestlers said they don't want to lose to another wrestler? Lots of them have. John says, your next short should be how to be Becky Lynch or CM Punk. I'm working on it, unfortunately, with the house and everything, and 2 jobs. I'm juggling a lot right now, including parenting. So, yeah. KJ says, what's up, chat and Tom? Welcome, KJ. Been quiet, I don't have much questions. That's fair enough, mate. Just linger. Just lurk. Do your thing. Thank you, KJ. David says, I see Christoph hasn't been on Twitter in a while. Yeah, he got called out by a lot of people. Moment was always going to come. Let's be fair. So, people on social media have been going nuts because Liv Morgan said that she's single. Now, I am thrilled to report that there has been not one question asking for intimate, unnecessary details in the chat today. Thank you. That tells me everything I need to know about all of you. I wouldn't report any details on Liv Morgan's personal, private affairs, even if I had those details, which I don't. There is a reason that idiots and liars thrive on places like Twitter. It's because people keep asking them these questions unopposed. So places like Ringside News tries desperately to answer invasive questions about Liv Morgan because they get a lot of clicks on them. We are proving better than that. I want to thank all of you for being part of this. We are, and I take pride in being, the most well-informed chat in wrestling, because not only do I share the news that I have, we also source every piece of news that we bring in. We personally confirm and clarify everything we have. We do our research. This is a place to be if you want to know what's actually happening in the world of wrestling. Speaking of, Tony Khan did not ban AEW talent from watching the Royal Rumble. In fact, Tony Khan watched the Royal Rumble himself. He's just not going to say that. People need to start doing their actual research and not picking up what Ringside News is putting down. There's a reason that no matter what is being reported, if you say the source is Ringside News, I stop reading. Spider-Boss says, it does annoy me to see wrestling journalists in the IWC blame Mercedes money for AEW's ratings aren't so high. Didn't see people blaming Becky when Raw's ratings weren't so high. They did. Fair to say Mercedes is the most polarising female wrestler now. Fans either love her or complain about her. Ajax. Jose says, I heard Jacob Fatu is coming with Roman Reigns and the Usos. Who'd you hear that from, Jose? Gotta source it, mate. KJ says, do you think AEW will lose Jeff Hardy, Ricky Starks and Malachi, who we discussed the other day? Malachi, yes. Ricky Starks, maybe. Jeff Hardy, probably not. Trickabidi says, heard about Wrestling Days from my nephews and found you from him, Tom. We do have quite a crossover. Well before we started to engage ourselves, we do have quite a crossover. His name and his channel comes up a lot when it comes to, other channels that your audience watches. So, it's very helpful that I can go on Twitter and just say hi to the guy and say, hey, thanks. Because he's done me quite a few favours recently and I appreciate him for that. Roger says, I'd like to see WWE and AEW do intergender matches like TNA do. They have no interest in doing so. Danny says, too many idiots about Tom, like you say, announce fake news just for the clicks. They do indeed. Spider-Boss says, I prefer to know about what is next for Liv Morgan on WWE. What Liv does outside of the ring is her life. Sovic says, is the IWC another Star Wars fandom who are just stupid as hell? Every single fandom has people who are damn right idiotic. Unfortunately, they be loud. One says, TK himself said he's a big fan of WWE and at times take notes when he watches their daily shows. Yep, absolutely. Jose, I don't know who TSE is. Are you able to clarify? KJ says the source for the whole Tony and Rumble fiasco wasn't necessarily RSN, it was Conan. RSN just covered it, but they tend to put their own 2 cents into it and blow it out of proportions. I appreciate you saying that, KJ. You are right, Conan was the original source. I was making a wider point about Ringside News, and it may have seemed like I was saying that they were the source. Thank you for clarifying and correcting me on that one. Again, part of being a well-informed chat is that we're all open to correction. That's the thing. There's a difference between punishing someone and correcting them. I take this into parenting. I don't tell my children off. I correct a negative reaction. I correct a bad behavior. I say, that isn't how we do things. I'm not saying, you're wrong, you're bad. I'm saying, that wasn't right. And I'd like to take that, pardon me, same approach to this channel. Sovic says, fandoms like IWC should never be trusted. Sovic says, trust the wrestlers and Tom. KJ says, oh no, I agree with you with RSN, they're complete BS. So, no, mate. No. You do not need to apologise. I've literally just based an entire point on the fact that you are right to correct me. And you are. Mick says, awesome news like always, Tom. Thank you. # best informed chat in wrestling. And thank you, Mick, for continuing to push my work onto TikTok and crediting me while doing so. I've seen your channel grow with the work that you are doing, and I'm proud to be even a very small part of that. You're doing great, mate. Sports Entertainer, got you. Thank you, Jose. Sean said, do you think YS6 might show up at King and Queen of the Ring? We'll find out shortly. Luke says, I found you as a YouTube recommendation, probably because I follow Wrestling Days and What Culture, etc. It was lovely to see Days mention your channel, though. Yeah, he's a good guy. I don't know how to say it any better than that. He's a good guy who does good things and really helps out. He and others like C Wrestling, genuinely, massively supporting right now, and I appreciate them for it. Caitlin says, Tom, will Brock Lesnar eventually be added into 2K24? There is no intention at this point in time. The WWE have no creative plans for Brock Lesnar, and there are no return plans for him at this point in time. Spider-Boss says, do you see Logan Paul losing clean? Yep. Pretty much. Though I do think, as I mentioned before, LA Knight will be the one to take his championship. It is 57 minutes past the hour. We peaked with an audience of 118. We have 87 likes. Welcome, Jay. Welcome to the show. And bye, Jay. See you later. We are wrapping up there. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has watched today, everyone who watches any show, everyone who's chatted, everyone who's hit like. We've had 87 of them. That's a good number. Everyone who's involved, everyone who engages on Twitter. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone, basically. So at this point, I will take the option of saying, I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.